they didn't realize. People are annoyed when your calculator like is so far spread out. You know, if you make it smaller, you can resize it to whatever you want, right? So that helped a lot of people to make it more like a calculator. Like you can squeeze this. That's as far as left to right that you can go, but you can resize it if it helps you out. One thing I would say is like what a lot of people did with Alex today is when they logged into Alex, then they drug this. You know how you can snap it to the right half of your screen? Then they put the calculator on the other side just so they could have both of them up at the same time. So just kind of a hint there. Don't have Alex logged in right now. Just have your calculator up. Okay. So the first problem we're going to go over, it says determine whether a triangle with the given side lengths is a right triangle. How do I determine this? How do I know if 9, 13, and 16 creates a right triangle? Very good. If we're trying to prove whether or not it's a right triangle, we're going to go the smallest one squared plus the medium one squared, put the box, and the largest squared. You guys use your calculator and see what you get. Determine if that is a right triangle or not. Help me out here. Did I do that correctly? 250 and 256? Yeah. Okay. So is this a right triangle? Not a right triangle. I'm going to give you a hint. Never choose not enough information. They're trying to fool you on that. You have enough information. You have the three sides of a triangle. Okay. Now, do you want to do the last three, or do you get the idea of what you're doing there? I think you're good, right? Okay, good call. Problem number 2, use the information given in the figure to find the length of ST. ST in my picture is right here. If applicable, round your answer to the nearest whole number. So what they're saying is if you get a decimal, round it to your nearest whole number. Then it says the lengths on the figure are not drawn accurately. The reason they make that statement is like, don't think that because that's smaller than the 13 side that it's got to be less than 13. They're not drawn to scale. Okay? So don't forget about this whole number. All right. Everything today everything this week has dealt with the Pythagorean theorem, which really comes back to dealing with a right triangle. In this picture, how many right triangles do you see? There's 2. So one of the first things I would tell you to do, or I would ask you to do, is to draw the 2 right triangles separately. I think the easy one that everybody sees is the big right triangle, agreed? With an R and a U and an S. 90 degrees down here in the corner. In that big triangle, do you know anything about it? No one? Very good. That hypotenuse is 37. Now, yes, I know this chunk is 5, but that's not the whole side there, right? Now, do you see the little right triangle? R, U, and T. What do you know about R, U, and T? The hypotenuse is 13, and Brant? Very good. One of the legs is 5. So if I want to figure out that little blue highlighted, I'm going to need to know how long SU is, which is part of that big triangle. If we want to find a side of the big triangle, I have to know the other 2. Well, I definitely have 37, but the problem is I don't have RU. How does the little triangle help me with this issue? Zach? No, we don't know that it's half. How? Okay, so if I call it triangle A, right? In triangle A, we know two sides, so technically we could figure out that third side. But how does that help me? Right, they're the same side, agreed? Those two triangles overlap this. So if I could figure out RU on that right triangle, technically that's RU on the left triangle, yes? Okay, so Will, what were you going to set that up as to find RU? Is he right? Does he have those numbers in the correct order? And most importantly, 13, the hypotenuse is by itself. Okay? 5 squared is 25. B squared, I'm going to leave B squared. 13 squared is 169. Then I should subtract 25 from both sides. B squared equals 144 if I subtracted correctly. Then I should the square root, big check mark. So how long is it, did you say? 12? So that helps me out because I'm going to put 12 in this triangle. But as Calix said, they really overlap that. So if it's 12 in the little triangle, it's actually 12 in the big triangle. Okay, but now how does that help me? Okay, so set it up for me, Brant.
12 squared plus equals 13.
Did he set that up correctly? Absolutely. Looking at this triangle, 100%. 12 squared is 144 plus B squared equals 13, say it again, 69. Then I should subtract 144. B squared equals 1225. Take the square root, 35. So this side of the triangle is 35. Now, if you put 35 into the Alex, it's going to count it wrong. Why? Yeah, 35 is the whole thing, and they're only really looking for part of it. So how big is that then? 30, because this much down here is 5. If the whole thing has to be 35, ST would equal 30. So what you're going to have today is, I know you guys are really good at the Pythagorean theorem, but what you're going to have today is that you're going to have problems that we're going to have to use multiple Pythagorean theorems to figure out the final answer. What you're really looking for is looking for a triangle that you have two sides, because when you find that third side, it allows you, or when you have two sides, you can find the third side. So if we look at problem number 3, how many right triangles are in this? 2. You have KLN on the left, and you have LNM on the right. And they want us to figure out KN. Well, in the triangle with KN, what else do you know about that triangle? The hypotenuse is 65. But if I want to figure out KN, I have to know this other side too, right? And right now I don't have enough information. But notice those triangles share LN. So really this is the same side. So in my triangle LMN, what do I know? So could you find this other leg? Yes. And when you find that, really goes to this triangle, and then you would have two sides of that triangle, agreed? Now here's the deal. I'm not going to make you calculate this. I just wanted to talk about it. The biggest thing I'm going to tell you is you need to make sure you're drawing this out. Draw the triangles separately. It will help you. Always look for the triangle that they give you two of the sides. Flip it over. Use the information given in the figure to find the length of JN. So they want to know what this side is right here. Okay, well, in triangle JNK, we're really trying to find X here. So I need to know two other sides. Well, I only know one. I only know 19. So somebody tell me the three corners of the triangle that we know two sides of. 30 and 25, this triangle here, yes? And I know it's 90 degrees because vertical angles gives me 90 here. So if I have 7 and 25, we could figure out, say I call that side Y. Agreed? Then the triangle on the lower right, we'd have Y and 30, because Y would actually be a number. So you could figure out Z. And then you would have 19 and Z, so you could figure out X. So you're going to have like a trickle-down effect. You're going to have to find a triangle that's maybe not right in the one that you need the final answer to. But you're looking for the triangles that have two sides in them. Okay, one more. We're going to actually calculate the numbers on this. This one's the hardest, I think, because it's 3 dimensions. So I tell people it's a rectangular prism. Think of it like an Amazon box. Okay? It's an Amazon box, and then they have a triangle going through it diagonally. They tell us AE, so if I trace from A up to E, so like if I drew kitty corner across the front of the Amazon box, it's 15. And A to B, if I trace the bottom of the Amazon box, it's 12. And then A to C, which really is going to connect this lower right to this upper right. I'm going to draw that triangle separately because otherwise I think my numbers are going to get screwed up. A, D, and C. That cuts right through the middle of the, diagonally through that box. And it tells us that AC is 40. And they want us to find AD. So really we're looking at triangle number 1 here. But in order for us to figure out X, I got to know the other two sides. The problem is I only know one side of 40. Okay, so Ms. Hoff's hint is go find a triangle that you know two sides of. What triangle do you know two sides of? A, E, and B. That front of that box, right? You know AE is 15, AB is 12. Somebody who hasn't answered for me set up how I would find that third side. Careful, 5. Where are you getting 5 from?
Oh, that's 50. So like 12 squared plus b squared equals 15 squared.
Good correction there. 12 squared is 144 plus b squared equals careful, go one step before that, 225, right? Then subtract 144 and you get 81. I take the square root of it. That means my side is 9. So this side right here is 9. Okay, Ms. Hoff, you basically lied to us. You said usually when you take the triangle that they give you two sides, when you find that third side, it helps you with the triangle that you need. Well, EB being 9 didn't help my triangle up above where the question mark is. Or did it? How?
It gave you D and C.
How do you know? It gave us EB. How did it give us DC?
Because it's the same, like,
Yeah, it's a rectangular prism, right? Your Amazon box doesn't have one corner that's taller than the other, agreed? So if EB is 9, that means DC also has to be 9. So in my triangle up here, really, I do know this is 9. Now, could you figure out that X? Okay, we're not going to. We don't have to go that far. But the whole thing about today is you're going to have multiple Pythagorean theorems to do in each problem. Not every single one, but at times you're going to. As people were working on this, the biggest thing is they were trying to do it in their head and not show the work. Every time you have a right triangle, identify the hypotenuse. Tell me what you know about the hypotenuse. It's the longest. What else do you know? There's one more thing you know. It's the cross from the 90 degrees. So if you know it's a right triangle, you're looking for a cross from the 90. If you're trying to determine if it's a right triangle, you know your hypotenuse has to be the longest, which is C in your equation every single time. If you use your time and you don't chat, I think you can get a very good start on this. There is work paper in the lower right-hand corner in the back. You need to have this done by 8 a.m. on Monday. Go to work.